Economist. This is Liz Waldman again with your Pilot Home team. Here to recap kind of what happened in the year in the market in Denver. Very interesting numbers, just kind of took everything that happened and I'll give you some facts here. So what I'm starting out with is the average of homes sold per month was actually 5,590. And the month that had the most home sales was June with 6,685, and the low was January with 3,312, and that's pretty common. Usually the summer months is when more homes sell, and then just lower inventory at the start of the year in the wintertime. The increase in home sales was an average of 4.9 from last year. So we were again most of the time up on sales month per month from last year, except in September and in December where we're actually negative, where we were down from last year. March had the high of the increase in sales, and that was at 9.2% from last year. And then September had the low of the negative 2.7% of homes sold from last year in September. The average number of homes on the last day of the month was 8,876. January had the most homes August had the most homes on the last day of the month, and that was 10,813, where January had the low of 6,139. And again, that's kind of what I said, where summer you see more homes sold, and then January, February, not so much because just the inventory is so low. The average difference from 2016 to this year of homes on the market of the inventory was actually negative 22.1%. January had the biggest, the lowest, or the highest, I guess, difference, and that was a negative 31.2% from last year, where June was the low or high, whatever you want to think of it, as a difference of negative 15.6%. So we're still quite a bit down in inventory from last year, and we've been seeing a continuing trend of year over year inventory just going down. The average price sold of homes was $370,814. June had the high, and that was at 385,000, and then January had the low at 343, which again kind of correlates with what I've been saying, that the majority of homes sold, the higher price, all of that fun stuff. The average difference in price was about 8%, so you can just go ahead and say that average last year the home prices increased about 8% in Denver. The highest increase was at 10%. That was in the month of April. And then the lowest was in May, which is kind of interesting that those 2 months right next to each other had both the highest and the lowest. The average ask price was $505,807, which is just absolutely crazy to think that $505,000 was the average ask price when the average sell price was $370. So definitely still a disconnect there. Definitely people trying to push the price. The highest that people were asking, the highest average was in April, and it was $524,900, and the lowest was in September at $490. And there's a lot of homes on the market in September, so I think people were kind of adjusting their prices to that. The average days on market was actually down 28.7% from last year. The December was at 39. That was actually the highest days on market of last year, and the lowest was June at 21 days on market. And then the average change from last year of days on market was negative 7.8%. With August having the biggest change, and that was 23.3%, which is crazy. That's just a number that's kind of mind-boggling. And then June was the difference of 4.5, so it was actually a positive increase of days on market there from last year. The average month supply was 1.6% for last year. September had the high at 1.9, and December had the low at 1.4, which is actually kind of scary because this is the first year in a while that we haven't had months where, months where the month supply was under 2 months. So again, inventory problem still. The majority of the homes that were sold last year were in the $300 to $399 price range, and that was the first time we saw that. Last year it was it was more of the $200 to $299. We saw it creep up into $300 to $399, but this whole entire year the majority of homes sold were in the $300 to $399. And the majority of homes were selling in the $200 to $499 price range, and that accounted for 69.2% of the market. Where January had the most of that price range sold at 71.1%, and March was low at 68%. Is there going to be a shift in that? Possibly. It does seem like things are kind of pushing up in price, and we're going to see that $200 to $499 price range kind of dipping under the 68%. But in the last few years, it's kind of floated around 65 to 72% of all the homes sold. So that's the facts that I have for you for last year. A lot of interesting information. Again, if you have any questions, you want to know stuff about a neighborhood, should you buy, should you sell, please call us 570-303-570-5579. Visit our website at www.yourpilothome.com. And I will talk to you in a month and tell you what happened at the start of the year with January numbers.